ain't getting the same bird.
Now you gotta figure it out. All right. Ding dong.
Ding dong.
Ding dong.
Oh my God.
Tom, you ready?
Ready when you are.
I got another one here. That's 9:29 on my computer. See? We're supposed to be getting the same signals.
I recommend.
Good morning. Welcome to our meeting. At this time, I'm going to call on Mr. Tanner to give our prayer this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Lord God, you have promised where two or three are gathered together in your name, you will be in the midst of them and bless them. God, we ask you to give us the vision by which we can see your love in this world, in spite of our human failures. Enable us to draw upon the wisdom and experience of yesterday as we respond to the questions and concerns of tomorrow. And guide our hearts and minds that we may do your will and work together for the betterment of this county. Father God, we ask your blessings on the citizens of this county, this state, and our great nation. And God, we ask for you to keep your hand of protection upon our first responders and our military. We humbly ask you to forgive us of our sins and bless us in all that we do. This name we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Tanner. We'll now call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone has the agenda in front of them. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I so moved.
The motion been made in discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. We have the minutes of our October the 14th meeting. Anyone wishing to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Chair, I so moved.
Motion been made. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. Lucky, I believe we've got some applications.
Morning.
Application request from Patrick and Hester Price to rezone the property from R2 residential to agricultural for purposes of keeping ducks, geese, and chickens as pets. This property is identified as parcel record number 28894. Currently zoned R2, it's located on the south side of Farm Circle, approximately half a mile from its intersection with Martin Drive. It's in election District 6. The planning commission votes to approve this application.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak on behalf of this application, please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this application, as like you said, is on behalf of myself. I'm Patrick Price, and that's my wife, Christine, over there. And a little history behind this, I'll try and keep it brief, is that I've been keeping birds since 1998, starting out with giant birds and parrots. And over time, I moved into ducks, geese, and chickens. And one of the aspects, we come to find out that in the state of Virginia, anything that can be used as I guess meat and eggs is considered livestock, and livestock are not allowed to be kept on residential property. So therefore, my application to rezone this as agricultural. I happen to have two tracts of land next to each other. One is about half an acre, and the other one's about 2 acres of an acre. And the birds concerned are white swan-necked geese, Pekin ducks, some bantams, and two white rocks, and black star chicken. They're domesticated. We keep them as pets, and none of them can actually fly any sort of distance. The Pekins can just jump. And the geese haven't managed to get on the ground yet. I don't think they can fly. And the chickens, they're close to that. Where we are situated is about a mile south of 903. You have to drive down a dirt road. It goes through about 240 acres roughly of farmland to get there. And the nearest agricultural land to my piece is about 200 feet away. And the next closest is about 500 feet away. Our area has got 6 permanent residents out of 17 homes and about 25 lots total. It's a very rural subdivision, and we have other neighbors such as foxes, coyotes, we have bobcats on camera, a bear has been seen, and the things that are the most predatory to my animals are copperheads and black snakes. And in the summer, we are also visited by, after breeding at least, when the chicks are growing, roughly about 40 Canada geese and 20 plus mallards are typically seen in groups around it. And that's really it. It's pretty much as like you described. We like to continue to keep these animals and to take the smaller of the 2 tracts and have that rezoned to agricultural. It is currently vacant, undeveloped, and consists of grass and some trees. That's it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? All right, I will now open the public hearing for this application. Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing. District 6.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve this application with the recommendations of the Planning Commission.
Everyone's heard the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries.
Our next request is from Rosemar Corporation for a special exception permit to use an existing home at a self-storage site for half residential and half to be an office for on-site management. The property is identified as parcel number 39486. It's currently zoned business and it's located on the south side of Highway 93, the intersection of Route 1401. It's an election district 6, and Planning Commission also voted to approve this application.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak on behalf of this application? Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Thorne Harvin with Rosemar Corporation. We're the parent company that owns A&E Self-Storage. As you all probably know, we built a new self-storage facility at this location, and there's a residential structure that's on the front left corner that's been there for a long time. It's in fairly good condition. All of our facilities, we have on-site managers, assistant managers, and a maintenance person. All of our newer facilities, we are building a half office, half apartment for these on-site managers to have the option to live in. If they don't want to, then the assistant manager. It helps us with security and helps with just the general operation of the facility. What we're asking is to renovate this house, not change the footprint, so that the office is in the front section that faces back towards 85. The upstairs and the rear stay the same and be a dwelling for the manager to live in. The front portion, there'll be a firewall that separates on the inside, and the office will be in the front, handicap access in the front, and then renovate the exterior so that it sort of blends with the facility. Anybody have any questions with what we're hoping to do?
No one have any questions? Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing for this application. Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing no one, we'll close the public hearing. District 6.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application with the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Everyone's heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion carries. Next, I think we've got Mr. Brinkley with a resolution.
Yes, sir. This resolution is proclaiming Mecklenburg County, Virginia, to be a Purple Heart County, and how this kind of come about. A gentleman by Mr. Ben King that works this in Richmond all the time brought it up and asked us would we be interested. And after talking to him, I thought it would be a real great idea. I think it's over 95 men and women had been either killed or hurt in the wars. Most of them in World War II, Korea, and some Vietnam, on down, and all. And I asked him, and I think us and Halifax had the two highest Purple Heart kind of in the state. And I kind of was inquiring why that happened. He said, well, most of those back in the World War II and stuff were mostly tough old farm boys and stuff, and they always put them out on the front lines. You know, they got the tough job and all and things. So I thought this was a real good idea to do this and all. So at this time, I'd like to read this. Whereas 250 years ago, Virginia's first son, General George Washington, accepted command of the Continental Army on June 15, 1775, embodying the spirit of the sacred honor of the defense of liberty. And whereas on August the 7th, 1782, General Washington established the badge of military merit to recognize the individual bravery and sacrifice of service members of a legendary late revived by General Douglas MacArthur on February 22nd, 1932 as the Purple Heart. And whereas the Purple Heart is awarded to members of the United States Army Forces who have been wounded or killed in combat against a declared enemy of the United States. And whereas Mecklenburg County continues the legacy of sacred honor by proudly recognizing sons and daughters who sacrificed are enshrined forever upon the walls of the Virginia War Memorial, reminding us that freedom is not free. And whereas etched in the stone of the Virginia War Memorial are the words, tell all who enjoy freedom of the deeds and sacrifice required for freedom to flourish. A charge that Mecklenburg County proudly embraces in proclaiming its commitment to honor and remember its Purple Heart recipients. And whereas Mecklenburg County recognized August the 7th annually as a National Purple Heart Day, called upon its citizens and institutions to join in honoring all Purple Heart recipients, ensuring that courage and devotion will be remembered today and for generations to come. And now, therefore, being resolved that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim Mecklenburg County a Purple Heart County, honoring the service and sacrifice of our nation's combat wounded veterans, and dedication of the county to its everlasting remembrance of its heroes. Being further resolved that August the 7th of each year be recognized as Purple Heart Day in Mecklenburg County, and that this resolution be permanently recorded in the minutes of the Board of Supervisors. And today, I know we put everything on Facebook, some to record if anybody had told them what we were going to be doing today. And I know Mr. Larry Sloan and his wife are here today. Would y'all stand up? I don't know, is there any other Purple Heart here? But just want to say thank you for what you've done, and we really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I'll put that in a motion.
Formal motion,
Yes, sir.
okay. Y'all have heard the resolution, heard the motion. Any discussion? Anybody would like to say anything? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Brinkley. Mr. Spade, Social Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate the opportunity to be with you this morning. I've got a few talking points, but feel free to interrupt me, ask any questions you'd like to ask about social services while I'm before you. You should hear a spirit of gratitude, particularly the generosity that you all have given the citizens of Mecklenburg County, that we have the pleasure of administering the money that you all provide out of the general fund for food banks in the community. At the rate of $100,000 has been extremely beneficial to us, as we have a little food bank in our department, but also the food banks that we work with throughout the community. So thank you very much for that. That is at the forefront of my thoughts. So I hope you hear a spirit of gratitude during my brief time with you this morning. I want to start by kind of framing my presentation this morning, three-legged stool, thinking in terms of where we're going. I know you have the shutdown on your mind and where that's, how that's impacting the SNAP program, and how we are handling that at the local level. So we have really the three Ds and the T, is how I would frame it: the people, the processes, and the products that we deliver. The T is a technology that we don't have a lot of control over in local Department of Social Services. As you know, we are locally administered and state supervised, so our IT support comes from the state, but it's very minimalistic. So we get very little support other than our assets, our computers, and internet. We're tapped into the COB, but that's pretty much the extent of it. So you all provide a lot of our IT support regarding when it comes to telephonic communications, that kind of thing. So we are kind of wedged between us and 9 other states in the United States have this special structure of state supervised, locally administered. And so we sit out as a department within the locality. We are part of you, but we also have some separations by being part of the social services and how we're governed. So we do follow the Virginia Department of Social Services HR manual for local departments, with the exception of our grievance policy. We follow the county grievance policy for employees, and we follow your inclement weather policy. So instead of me conferring with the local board chair, we follow whatever decision that our county administrator makes. So we're here to serve and be a part, and that is very important to me and our department. And we want to do the best job that we can do and be as transparent as we can possibly be and service oriented. Because we do love what we do, and we love our customers. So next slide, please. So this is how the breakdown looks, how you spent that $100,000 last fiscal year. So we spent on 6 different food banks. DSS is us. We have a small food bank in our departments, and we have walk-ins, particularly those who have applied and deemed eligible for expedited services. We try to serve them out of that food bank, others as well. The Holy Name Church of Jesus Food Bank is the gray and the third from the left. Way of Hope sits at 41,942.62. Black Branch Baptist Church, they sit at 21,7431. Project Care Point Clarksville at 2365.35, and the Southern Bread Box at 28,757.40. So I will say that we heavily coached each point of contact throughout the year, asking that they send their receipts and their metrics to us so that we could reimburse them. This is a reimbursement process that is filtered through our special welfare fund. You all are very familiar with our special welfare fund, although that is, from the Code of Virginia standpoint, is governed by the local Board of Social Services. It is opened up to the county for check writing purposes and governance as well. So we coach throughout the year in hopes of getting that more evened out. But as that 100,000 need to go out there to help those in need, it ended up falling this way. We're doing the same thing this year. We spent about 35% of our allocation so far, and we're about 33% into the year. So we're right on track with regard to our spending trend. So again, I want to thank you for that. Give you a little bit of a breakdown of the numbers and who we serve through those funds. Next slide, please. You'll see that we serve a total of 16,875 individuals. That's about $6 per person served, between $5 and $6. 3,827 of those were children. 5,998 for adults between 18 and 59, and then 7,050 for adults 60 plus. So that's how it breaks down. You have a more specific breakdown in the charts, but that is a more specific breakdown. Any questions about our delivery of those funds to our food banks? Again, I want to thank you for that. Next slide, please. I want to talk to you a little bit about our department and how we're structured. If you're not already familiar, I want you to kind of understand how we are set up. So we're really set up in 3 divisions. Administration is one. Of course, I'm a part of that. So you see part of the organizational chart is set in the slide there. And I've included our human service assistants who provide direct support to customers in need of benefit programs assistance. I've included them in the administration, in the operations section for the sake of turnover rate, because they are administrative support, but they function so directly with our customers that in the org chart, I include them under the benefit programs section. So our turnover rate, as you can see, is 22.4. I would say that's pretty average. I'll go ahead and tell you our overall turnover rate is 24%. We don't see a high level of turnover comparatively. Of 119 other local departments of social services across the state, that's very good. Having been a director this is my fourth agency I've been director of, I can say that's very good. We have no vacancies in the administration arena at this time. Next slide, please. In family services, we have 9 employees. We have 9 in administration. We have 9 in family services. Our turnover rate there is 25.86%. We had a couple of retirees over last year. And so that has created that turnover. We have no vacancies at this time. As a matter of fact, we have one starting today that we're proud to have start with us. I will say that from a statistical standpoint, considering turnover at the Virginia Department of Social Services level, their lens looking across the entire state among all entry-level family services specialists is at 40%. So the turnover rate is much less for us at the local level. That is attributed to you all and your support of us, because the reality is payment matters. It does make a difference. I have struggled with that over the years as a director, wondering what really motivates our employees, what really motivates us to come to work. It can't just be money, and it can't just be a passion for the work that we do, but it has to be a little of both. And you all do a great job supporting the community, and again, I thank you for that. Next slide, please. Our benefit program section is our last, 3rd division. That is the largest division within our department, with a total of 18. I have shrunk the agency a little bit to 40 people. I feel like that is a sweet spot for us. We've created a lean workforce, but we've also created lean processes to support that workforce. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. In part, I'll say here that the benefit programs manager, you see a manager and 2 supervisors. You see the manager is supporting 5 frontline staff at this point. This is a change that we effected within the last month to support some of the changes associated with the shutdown and what we're seeing in the staff community. So we have some new hires that we're trying to get trained up and ready to be more independent. And as we do that, we need to conquer and divide with regard to training and supervision and support, providing support with regard to the technological issues, some of the policy issues, and some of the new training issues. So each supervisor and manager has 7 direct reports. So we've optimized the people ratio. And the HSAs you will see down there, the human service assistants you will see towards the bottom under one of the supervisors, as that is so driven by the program that we wanted to make sure that they were well situated to support that work. Next slide, please. And we did see a 2.5% vacancy rate. We've got 1 position open right now for self-sufficiency specialist 2 that is sitting there ready to be screened. So kind of shifting gears to HR 1, the governor's directive number 13, and SNAP. And so how does that look at the local level? Well, operationally, it's very important to us in how we function, because our role is to determine eligibility for benefit programs. SNAP is one of our big programs. Medicaid is the 2nd largest. So with regard to numbers, Medicaid is the largest. But SNAP is huge. Participation in SNAP is huge. One of the reasons it's so huge is because it's an entitlement program. So if you're deemed eligible, you're entitled to that program. Unlike child care assistance or unlike energy assistance that are not entitlement programs, you're entitled. So when we have customers walk in, we want to make sure we embrace that interest they have to participate in the program, and if they are indeed entitled, we treat them as entitled. Sometimes my staff say that our customers feel entitled, but they are entitled. So beginning October 2027, states that have a payment error rate, whether that's a positive payment error rate or negative payment error rate, of more than 6% will be penalized through a matching process. So the state will have to match at a certain percentage. You'll see a chart to the side. Virginia is 11.5%. Mecklenburg County is not 11.5%. We're at 0% based on what we know. So there's no way to test the locality other than quality and compliance testing that's done periodically. We have fared very well with that. There's a $58 threshold. So if there were an under or overpayment, it wouldn't qualify as an error anyway. We've never, as long as I can't think of a time that we've exceeded that. Normally it's relating to change reports. So clients letting us know when the change happens so we can address that change and us taking action on that. Some of that relates to our processes and making sure that we're jumping on those and prioritizing that. So we spend, the Virginia Department of Social Services, or the state level rather, spends $1.6 billion, or spent that in 2024, in SNAP benefits. So they're estimating $1.8 billion. They just rounded that up. They take 15% of that, $270 million impact. So what does that mean to us? Well, it means that funding's got to come from somewhere, and we've got to reduce that error rate. At a state level, that has to be done. So it takes 120 agencies to be a part of the problem or the solution. And so we want to make sure that even though we're doing good work, that we don't sit back and say that's somebody else's problem. That's our problem too. And we want to continue to do good work, and we want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. We also know that through HR1, our expectations have been raised. So we can no longer take self-attestation for shelter costs, child care expenses, medical expenses. We can't take deductions as self-attestation. We have to have verification of that. It means more time on the phone, more time back and forth. So it goes back to that technology and how we leverage technology, how we leverage AI, which is one of the governor's initiatives. So he is in Directive 13. He's directed additional training, which my staff have all taken, with the exception of one, the 13th that came out a little bit late. That's due by the end of the year. They will complete that training in full, and they're all e-learnings to give them, particularly around interviewing and extracting information from customers to make sure that we're getting accurate information, because the information we have is necessary. It needs to be accurate, it needs to be timely, so that we can in turn be accurate and timely. And of course, verification of household expenses and composition. So when somebody calls us and says, I've moved, well, that has a ripple effect. That means that your household composition could have changed. So we have to count everybody in your household in your assistance unit. So unless you're purchasing, comparing separately with not normally, we have to assess that to see what is happening in your home, and because there could be income that we now have to count or disallow. So we have to, phone number change wouldn't be a big deal, but an address change is huge. So if you're counting actual expenses and you're counting rent, and your rent is now going down, that's going to impact your allotment. And so we have to readjust what we do, and we have to respond to those changes. So that's one of our priorities. The second priority we have is anybody that's last day deadline. We've got a verification need, and you're bringing that in last minute. We want to act on that at the last minute because we have to be compliant. If we have 30 days to process a SNAP application, or 7 days on an expedited SNAP, or 45 on a Medicaid, or a 7-day on a pregnancy Medicaid, whatever the case might be, you come in at 459, 429, and you're trying to deliver that to us, we need to take that and act on it. Because you delivered it on time, we have to deliver your benefits on time. We can't say it's not convenient today, or that person's out. We've got to be able to hop and get the work done. in order to be compliant. So that requires a very agile workforce and a very agile system of administration. Next slide, please. I just picked the last quarter, and lucky for me, no, I'm just kidding. 99%, 99.5% on non-expedited. So we are exceeding the 97% target of timeliness with regard to processing SNAP applications. That is no easy task, I can tell you that, especially now with verifications that started October 1. We'll talk a little bit about the changes that started on Saturday that are another layer of the iteration going through this process. Next slide, please. So that was the first issue. The second issue is that relates to funding, is this a hot topic, is the administrative costs that are being shifted to the states. So it's always been a 50-50. It's always been 50%. Now it's 75% on Virginia. So that 25% uptick in the state cost, depending on what happens this legislative season, where is that money coming from? So localities are planning accordingly. As that cost shift happens, will that land at the local level? And it could. It could. And how do we figure that out? Well, we see that $360 million is spent in administrative costs each year. Well, that was spent in 24, right? So if we look at that 25% uptick, that's where we get the $90 million. So it's a $90 million impact. If we look at that from the lens of our administration, and we think of administrative costs as opposed to purchase of service and assistance categories, which are to our clients, but operational costs, the administrative costs, if we don't have enough in our allocation that is covered at 84.5%, which we have a base allocation of 84.5%, we go into pass-through funds. So the significance of that, which normally we do February, March, and that's not uncommon. It varies across agencies. It's based on a formula that's 40 years old that nobody can explain. So, but it's never been changed. So new money that comes in, the expansion dollars that came in 2019 when Medicaid expansion occurred, that we can explain that. We can explain certain things that have come in, prevention, the Family First funds that came in back in 2018. We can explain some of those things, but we can't explain the whole base allocation. Nobody can. It's just arbitrary. So I could come in 2 or 3% below the budget. Another locality I can go to pass through earlier in the year, later in the year. It depends on that particular locality. So if we go over that, we go into pass through, our reimbursement goes from 84.5% down to about 30%. So now we're looking at an 8% because we're dealing with 120 different localities that are going to be pulling down that money. So if the state doesn't find a way to offset that cost and it is passed along to the locality, it's between us and the federal government. And they will give us the money, but the reimbursement rate is based on a formula based on how we're pulling cost allocation and how we're pulling dollars down and how they're being assigned. And that's a whole different conversation around random sampling at the local level and how we keep time and what are we working on expansion cases? Are we working on nurse facility cases? Are we working on the SNAP cases? What are we doing at the local level? And how those dollars are pulled down impacts, it's a penetration rate that impacts the reimbursement rate. But it's roughly at 67% yes, 67% is on the local side. So if you up that by 8%, it looks like to me about a $95,000 impact, possibly, effective next fiscal year. Because it would be at the beginning of the 26 federal fiscal year. So it would impact our 26 state fiscal year. So that is a possibility. We don't know for sure what will happen this legislative season, but that could occur. And that's just based on 8% spread across 120 different localities. Any questions about that? Next slide, please. So I did want to mention what HR has done is with regard to eligibility. U.S. citizens and nationals who remain eligible, lawful permanent residents, who we refer to as green card holders, remain eligible. They reside for 5+ years. Cuban, Haitian entrants, people present legally under the Compacts of Free Association, Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, and Palau. Eliminates eligibility for those who qualify for conditional entry to the U.S. or asylum refugees, urgent humanitarian resources such as domestic violence or human trafficking. Next slide, please. The ABOD work requirements. It went into effect November 1st for us. The reason it didn't go into effect when the law was passed back in July is because of the 120-day hold harmless rule. So we had until November 1st to implement. And so at this point, we're working through the new rules that are going to impact. I can't tell you how many people it's going to impact at this point. But ABOD is not new to us. It's able-bodied adults without dependents. So anybody that falls into that category has to meet the work requirement, which is to work at least 80 hours a month, volunteer or train, some sort of participation. This is nothing new. We view what started as a Virginia's Initiative for Employment and Welfare, and in 19 it changed to Virginia's Initiative for Education and Work. It's always been compelling to learn a trade, skill up, upskill yourself, and get to work. And so the fact that people are being asked to work is nothing new. ABOD is nothing new. Some localities were exempt based on the unemployment rate in the community. That's got to be above 10% now. Obviously, we're not there. We were at 4.1 last quarter, so no county or city qualifies at this point. So it's a really complex structure, but to give you a quick idea, it's limited to 3 months of eligibility. You get 3 months, and then we certify you for a 6-month period. We give you what we call E9 months. It has to be coded a certain way in the system. But that's within a 36-month window. Or you have to work, volunteer, or train up. So you have to be participating at least 80 hours a month. It's increased the age from 55 to 65. So anybody under 65 would fall into that category. So if you're between 18 and 64, you got to work, unless for the 19-year-old, unless you're still in school, 18 to 19. Limits the exception based on responsibility to care for. So it's previously been, if you have a child under 18 in your home, you're exempt. They're changing it if you're under 14. They have to be under 14 now. So those parents who have, that's their only exemption, a child under 18, and they have a child that's 14, 15, 16, or 17, they're no longer going to be exempt. They're going to have to go to work. So that could be a game changer for them, unless they meet another exemption, such as disability, pregnancy, or what have you. Extends exemptions for homeless, veterans, and foster youth between the ages of 18 and 24 who age out of foster care. Establishes a new exemption for Indians other than eligible for the Indian Health Services. Ends waivers for localities based on lack of sufficient jobs, and establishes waivers for localities with an unemployment rate over 10%. Again, we don't, obviously that doesn't fit us. Any questions about that? Next slide, please. So how are we responding to this? So Virginia is, a unique state, and I'm very, very, very proud to be a Virginian, and be part of Mecklenburg County is that much more. That's the cherry on top. Virginia is very innovative in how it responds to social problems. There is no magic solution to things, but over the years I've had the pleasure of seeing a lot of different maneuvers that help sustain those in need in Virginia, and I'm really excited about this. Being the Virginia Emergency Nutrition Assistance Program that was stood up last week, I guess you'd say, in the governor's press conference, he shared with everybody what his plan is to supplant SNAP. So this doesn't extend SNAP. it's a plan SNAP. So SNAP ended as of Saturday. So this is a replacement, but the platform, through Conduit, who is the vendor that, puts out the EBT cards, uses electronic benefits transfer through Conduit, the vendor, have devised a solution that will allow VENA to filter funds through the EBT cards, just like any other SNAP allotment, just like the SNAP allotment, so that customers can continue to use their card, but instead of using SNAP benefits, they're using state emergency assistance on their cards. And if the shutdown ends, what we're told, if the shutdown ends, once it ends, they will pull back the state dollars. So that's money in reserves, will go back to reserves if it's unused money. There are customers we know, we don't, have to look at each person in the system to know, but we know that customers sometimes have leftover allocations on their card of SNAP. This would be in addition to that. The difference would be, instead of getting their allotment, they're issued on the first, fourth, and seventh of each month. Instead of getting their allotment for the month on the first, the fourth, or the seventh, the ones who were to get theirs on the first, will get those today. They will get theirs today. The ones due to get theirs tomorrow will get it Wednesday, and the ones due to get Friday will get it Friday. And then that schedule will rotate all through the month of November, unless the shutdown ends. So they will continue to get each Monday, each Wednesday, each Friday, depending on when they normally fall, they will get a 25% of their normal allotment. So that's based on what they would normally receive. They're just going to get it in increments to preserve as much state funding as possible. Because as we all know, the budget has to balance. So this is a real stretch, which is really impressive to see happen. So that is not actually, today will be the test of that. So we hope that will work out well. Again, that is not a federal action. That is a Virginia action. Very proud of that. And I say that without partisanship, but just for the sake of our customers, and what that will mean to them. The next slide, please. So shifting gears a little bit, I would be remiss not to share a few statistics and how our numbers look. And this is the latest published statistical data with regard to subset of our benefit programs, the SNAP, the TANF, Medicaid, child care is listed here. These numbers are representative of today. We currently have 2606 active in SNAP, 5144 Medicaid, 67 TANF, 23 VIEW, 76 child care, and 291 PIP, the percentage of income payment program, which, by the way, was stood up in January of last year and has grown to 291 in partnership with Dominion Power, as we pay either 6 or 10%. They're eligible for this. If they're eligible for the program, they're eligible for either 6 or 10%, depending on whether, if it's an electricity, if their heating source is based on electricity, 10%, any other source 6%. If they pay on and it's based on their income, 10 or 6% of their monthly income. If they pay each month on time, then any debt that they have is incrementally by 1/12 whacked away, and at the end of that month they have no debt left, where they may walk in with debt. So that is a very that's been a powerful program. It's been challenges along the way, but it's been a beneficial program. Now the 206 active SNAP and the 5144 in Medicaid, they're cases, they're not individuals. So when you look at these numbers, you see a more accurate depiction, and that would be representative of today as well. Very stable in those regards, where you're looking at about between 5 and 6,000 SNAP and a little over 10 in Medicaid. So when you're thinking in terms of the population of Mecklenburg County, anywhere from 25 to 30% of our customers are on Medicaid, and anywhere from 10 to 15 will be on SNAP. Next slide, please. This is a little bit further breakdown on the AD vendor and Grace, who these services. Again, this is 21 data. This is the most recent vetted data, which is why I wanted to provide it. It is what it's very representative of today. It's not out of date to the point it's not. One of the things I will point out that Virginia or Mecklenburg County saw about a 30% uptick when expansion happened. So we have a lot of folks on expansion, which when you look at the federal medical assistance percentage, that is when we kind of switch gears and think in terms of Medicaid, and we think in terms of the potential impact of those changes, which are not slated until the end of next year, you're looking at a pretty significant impact potentially with regard to the monies flowing from the federal government, that being a 90% portion for the expansion population. And Virginia elected a trigger clause, so if that is reduced at any point, they can pull back enrollment. So that, I mean, those between the ages of 19 and 64 are heavily seen in our population. So there's no resource test with those individuals. You know, it's 138% of the federal poverty limit. So those, it can be quite a hit. Next slide, please. Sharing, kind of switching over to family services for a moment. CPS referrals. CPS is always a hot topic. We are statutorily required to do a lot of things I've already talked about, but certainly child protective services and adult protective services work. It's a 24/7 operation. And so we average about between 3 and 4 valid referrals a week on average. We've been hit rather hard here over the last year for what reason. I'd like to think that's because we do good work, and when you do good work, people call you and want your help. That work is very exhaustive, and that's where you see some turnover. Fortunately, we have a very teamwork-driven atmosphere in our family services arena, and they pull together. We only have 2 CPS workers. The lady that starts today will be doing some of that CPS work as well as some APS work. We're trying to build that out a little bit and moving forward. You see in the numbers that we're pretty even. We accept a few more than we do not accept. When we look at validation criteria, I will say that we look at 4 different criteria. We look at, does it meet the definition of abuse and neglect? Is the child under 18 at the time of the report? Do we have jurisdiction in Mecklenburg County, or was it reported in Mecklenburg County? And is it a caretaker that committed abuse and neglect? If it meets all those criteria, it's valid. And only the local Department of Social Services can determine validity. It is statutorily the responsibility at the local level. Next slide, please. I wanted to highlight this piece. I wanted to let you know, give you a breakdown of how many we have in foster care. I will say, before I get to these numbers, we've been very stable with our foster care population, and the 23 in foster care right now, one set is 6 siblings in one family. So if you kind of scale that back a little bit, it gets us back to that 15 to 17 mark, which is what we've seen over the last few years. Congregate care placements are a no-no at the federal level. They, the feds, through the Family First Prevention Services Act during President Trump's first administration, they passed that in the omnibus bill that relieve locals from the pleasure of placing it in congregate care. So we now have to focus on family settings for foster children. If we don't, federal funds won't pay for it. They will only pay up to 14 days. So we are trying hard, and I wanted to highlight this because we're really pushing and coaching and trying to get those family settings for those children to bring that down so that if they're 4E eligible children, if they're federally funded, if they can be federally funded, to preserve our state funding or CSA funding, then we can do it. Then we can use federal funding. But if they're in congregate placement, even if they are 4E eligible, federally funded eligible, we still have to use state local funds, and we don't want to do that. So we are pushing for that purpose. One of those 23 is a foster future youth. She's been with us for a while. She aged out at 18 and is in the living program. 13 of our children are under 12, and 10 are over the age of 12. Next slide, please. And I'm getting close to the end. I wanted to kind of give you an idea of, I'm not blowing smoke or, but this is really genuine to, and I know with Microsoft and everything that we're seeing in Mecklenburg County that's doing so well economically, this is small potatoes. But I did want to point out that social services is an economic driver for the community. And when our customers lose benefits that we're determining eligibility for them to have and they're entitled to, it impacts them going and buying groceries and going to the local pharmacy to get their medications and going to the local doctors and nurse practitioners and things. So as we look at total spending in Mecklenburg County, in 21, $97.9 million was spent for a $1.9 million investment. So you're looking at the equivalent of $48.38 on every dollar spent that you're getting back, if you look at it from a return on investment standpoint. And if you look at our local budget, that's total spending, so you're not spending that, but that's what's being spent on and in the community when it comes to our social services programs that are administered through our department. That's what's coming back to the community as part of the system. And when you look at our budget, and you consider that our budget, we kind of project roughly this year $3.5 million total, and that includes everything operational and all of our expenses associated with delivering those benefits and services. And then you think in terms of $3.5 million coming back to you out of federal and state funds, and your investment of roughly $1.8 million, if we're looking at next fiscal year, because I'm kind of looking that way, if there's an uptick of, like I said, $100,000. If we go that direction, that's still a 94% return on investment when you consider what's returned to the agency based on the dollars that are spent overall. Because a lot of our budget lines are 100% reimbursable. SNAP is 100% reimbursable. Auxiliary grants are 20%, local 80% reimbursable. And staff and operations is 84.5%, with the exception of our pass-through dollars, and a couple $100,000 is given straight state money and special fund money that is given to support Medicaid expansion that's never gone away, that we've had for several years. That has no local match. So, but when you bridge all that together and you grade all that funding, there is a return on investment. So I'm not saying that social services is a driver like Microsoft, but it is a community driver of economic development and support. And I would be remiss not to point that out. We recognize that as unfortunate as poverty is, and how we would love to work ourselves out of the job, it's a reality that we deal with. And the last thing I will say is that when we're talking about poverty and we're looking at federal poverty limits and percentages of that, and we consider the VIEW program and self-sufficiency, when we consider people going to work, one thing we have to keep in mind is when they go to work, they don't necessarily have the means to live independently and live well. The SNAP allotments are based on working meals. They're based on what can somebody survive on. They're not based on buying steak. And nor would we expect them to be. But when we consider that our VIEW customers, those that are receiving TANF, temporary assistance for needy families that aren't exempt and come over to VIEW, and they're part of that program, and their average hourly wage is $15.60 an hour, which is great. Every dollar matters. As I was speaking with a customer, every dollar counts. And I recognize that when you consider the average cost of living at 18 and 70 cents, you do the math and you end up what we call Alice households. You can be part of, income, constrained, households. Asset limited income constrained employee. So basically the working poor. And so I'm not getting on a soapbox about that or them, but just keeping in mind that we have to incentivize our customers to go out, and there have to be jobs that give them a livable wage so that they can go out and stay off benefits. I can tell you that none of the customers that I have the pleasure of speaking with, have ever said they want to be on benefits. They all say, I want to get off, I want to. And they're trying, but they have to feed their family. And so that's why I'm so happy to see Dina, because it's representative of what we need, as well as who we are as a community, in Habitat. So, our partnerships are paramount, and I'm here to serve you all. I hope that I'm doing that. I trust that I'm doing that effectively. I'm confident that I am, because I can tell you that I work as hard as a hospital can. So if I'm not, I will be glad to step aside. But anything that I can answer at this point, anything that I can do, you direct. Any questions?
I had a question, and I think you spoke to it. I just get you to reiterate. And great presentation, by the way. Good job. Your slides made reference to residents, not citizens.
I'm sorry.
Your slides, language in your slides made reference to residents.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't speak specifically language of citizens. So my question is I would believe that if a person is here and they need assistance, we're going to provide it.
If they are legally,
Okay.
only if they're legal residents, only if they are U.S. citizens or national.
Okay, so no non-citizens are receiving benefit. Any kind of assistance.
No illegal citizens, no illegal persons are to be receiving benefits.
Okay. All right, that's all.
I think one of the things that I'm kind of glad is that the vacancies that you have there are zero. So that's rather admirable. But this state is emergency assistance for the EBD cards. How long do you think that will exist? I think it's come on the BINA, I believe it is.
So the issuance process?
Yes, sir.
It will start today. Whether the cards have been loaded today, I'm not sure of that. I hate to say that, it's not true. I will say that, anything processed by us at any local employment social services on the 30th or after will not be included in BINA. Only those who were processed the 29th or before October, 29th or before that day, will be part of BINA. Everything else is cut off and will be on standby until BINA is gone into sunset. So, but it should start today, this sort of issue.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I know Chris is obvious. He deals with a lot of figures, a lot of services and issues throughout the county with the welfare board. But I've been on the welfare board for a little over 4 years. I've had the honor of being on there, and I just like to commend Chris and his staff for the dedication and the pride that y'all take in doing y'all's job, because y'all get it done. I mean, there's no question about it. And just thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We do, and you know, there's nothing. Another director told me years ago. She's retired now, but she said, "You can be the worst director in the world, and if you've got a good team, particularly supervisors, you can have a great agency. You can be the best director in the world, and if you don't have a good supervisor or a good team, you're going to have a bad agency." And I found that to be true, and it resonates in my brain every day. So it's not about me; it's about the staff, and they are. I mean, I wish I could tell you. I know I've taken up enough of your time, more than I should have. You've been very generous, but the processes we have in place that I wasn't able to get into, how we function each day and how staff make that happen is just, they make it happen. They have a fidelity to that, and if they didn't, if they refused it, then I've seen that They don't. They embrace opportunities to do our best work. They do it, they make it happen. And I'm just very proud of their work and what they're doing, and the heart that they have, and what they do. They care about what they do. They care about our customers. And if that doesn't show at any point in time, I want to know, because there's even a misunderstanding, we need to fix it, because we are here for our customers. That, yes, and that's what we're paid to do, but that's not the only reason. That is just the cherry on top, actually. We're all committed to doing the work that we do, and balancing that. So, thank you.
Mr.
We
Chairman, I just,
greatly appreciate your hard work. We know it's, can be difficult sometimes, but it seems like that you were doing an exceptional job, and I'm sure Mr. Brankley is an asset on that board too.
He is. We're very fortunate. The board is just, it goes without saying, it doesn't go without saying, it needs to be said that they are superb. And as I've also found out over the years, stability is really at the top. Yeah. A strong organization has to have a stable top. You have to have that foundation in front line working with customers. But you have to have, if you don't have stability at the top, that instability is felt throughout the organization that breaks the foundation. So that top is the local board, and they are superb. And they're just, the intelligence and the support is beyond words of appreciation. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, he wrote me a note and asked me what I say
I better leave it. Ain't no but on this, is it?
I felt like we needed a little laugh anyway, so.
And
Thank you.
it's not the note that he gave you. I think I'm collaborating over the stability of Mr. Brain being stable.
In that position.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, could we move on?
Mr. Chairman,
We'll move on.
I would like to ask Mr. Spain one
Sure.
thing. The presentation you gave, would you mind sharing that to Alex, just so he could share it with us, so we'd all have
Yeah.
that information?
Absolutely.
And thank you.
I'm happy to provide any further data or information that you all would like to have.
Okay.
And thank you for the update too on the money that we provide, because I think this board has been a big supporter of that, and I really appreciate everything y'all do to make that project happen.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Mr. Brad Rogers is not here, so we're not gonna have a VDOT report this morning. It's in the packet, yeah, but he's not gonna, nobody's gonna talk anyway. So, Mr. Hargrove, I believe it is your turn.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chairman. The Emergency Service Committee met on Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. at the school board office. Members present, myself, Tom Tanner, Brendan Blackwood, Kirk Rabbit, also present Jim Jennings, David Brankley, Claudia Lundy, Sterling Wickelson, Dennis Spence, Russell Slayton, Alice Gottschall, Judy Sheffield, and Jenny Whitmore. The chairman called the meeting to order. Justin Birch, EMS Director, briefly reviewed the 2025 Emergency Operation Plan that has been presented. Upon a motion, by Mr. Gravitt, the committee voted unanimously to recommend an approval of the 2025 Emergency Operation Plan to the full board. And at this time, I would like to stop and make that as a motion that's been receptive of the board.
Okay. Everyone's heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Amen. The next one for the Information Service, Mr. Slayton and Mr. Gottschall. Mr. Birch discussed the proposed changes and necessary updates to Chapter 34 of Code of Ordinances. When discussing the timeline, Mr. Gottschall advised that the public hearing is necessary for these changes. Mr. Slayton stated that he could have a draft ordinance in the December for EMS committee to be reviewed. There was no further business. The meeting was adjourned. That's for informative purposes only.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. Any public comment?
We have Scott Warner.
Dr. Warner? Do I need to time you? Okay. I just want to make sure.
I would ask your cameraman, Josh, to come up here. You have in front of you something we're real proud of. The technology department spearheaded with this is our report card. It's kind of a glossy item that we put together tell the community what we're doing, what we're about, and, also we're in negotiations with the Mecklenburg County, see if we can put this in, as an insert for those who are not, involved with the internet or, can get these.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, like what Dr. Warner said, this is a little project we undertook, with our new marketing specialist that come on. She's taking over all of our social media type stuff. And this is another, a little piece that, she showed us during an interview and it kind of hit with me. And I thought it was something special that we could try. We use some Title II funds to fund this the first go around. We want to get this out to businesses and let them see what's going on at our school. So we're hoping to get some help with some money there, some favorable ads. But basically, just want to say that like I said, it shows off our schools, staff, students. Basically, it highlights good things going on in Mecklenburg County. I like it, in a digital world today. Everything, it's hard to believe what you see online a lot of the time, but when I can put my hands on something quality, and see our children in it, it's kind of special to me. I think it's good for our school.
That's very nice.
The final piece about this is our kids in their journalism class.
Yeah, sorry, I left that part out. Yes, it was headed up by the marketing specialist, but she worked with the photojournalism class, hand in hand to get these articles in there. It's got a lot of interviews in there. It's just got a lot of good stuff, and we're looking for this to be a quarterly thing, not a monthly thing. But just to kind of highlight, we're going to plan on giving it out to businesses and just keep that ball.
Very good.
So kids do the work, also use it as recruiting, and we're hoping that our local chamber of commerces and the Welcome Center and other places of interest and lay these out. It hopefully will bring folks into the community, so it's a great place to live and learn, and also hope that it can bring in some features to our community that we desperately need. All of us across the Commonwealth and the nation need teachers. Just I would share.
Well, it was really professionally done. It looks really nice. I look forward to reading it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank y'all very much.
All right, thank you. No one else? Okay. Alex, you next.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item that we need board action upon is approval of the rabies clinic. The Treasurer's Office hosts these every year, and the Code of Virginia dictates that the local governing body must approve them. And so in order to host this, your approval is needed. Marcia, I didn't know if you wanted to speak on this, on the actual clinic itself at all.
Yeah, it's just scheduled for January 24th from 1 to 3 at our office. So the vet comes there, does everything. They come in and get their dog tags, and it works really well to have it here in the county at the Treasurer's Office. So thank y'all for considering.
Okay. I know we've done this quite a few years, and it's a really good program. So we'll entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, the next item is the staff reports. I did want to highlight a few things that were in here. First of all, there's a new hire report that was asked for by this board last month that has now been included and will be included going forward. The way we have done it is that we are doing it prospectively. So everybody who would start the next month will be listed in there. So for this, it's the people who started, well, they started today, technically
Right.
November 1st, the first working day today.
So I
that's
guess
what
in the future, you run like a month behind, possibly.
Well, actually, the other way, we'll be trying to do it a month ahead of time. So we
Oh,
hire
that's right. You're
people,
going to hire them at a certain
and then
time. I
it's
got you.
who's going to
Start on a
start.
certain day.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
So will my picture be there as a new hire?
Are you working at one of our convenience centers now?
Yes, I am.
Now that's a good report for us to know who's out in the community.
It is.
We see somebody at the grocery store. Oh, I'm working for the county. Oh yeah, I didn't know that. it's a really good report. So thank you for doing that.
The next item we do have is we do have an update in here about our convenience centers and the current status of the development of a number of them. So that was a memo that was prepared by our special projects manager. And so that is for you all to review. And then the third one I wanted to point out is we have a flyer in here. I know it was communicated directly to you all, but we will be having a community forum for our first draft, not final draft, first draft of our zoning and subdivision ordinance revision. And that will be hosted on November the 12th beginning at 6 p.m. And that is going to be at the cafeteria of the middle school. So if any of the public has the opportunity to review that draft, which is posted online at mec44.com, and has any thoughts or comments, that will be an opportunity for the public to come and talk about it with us and with our consultants. Obviously, they can submit comments anytime electronically, but that will be actually an in-person forum. We also have not only the text of the ordinance, but an actual draft of revised district maps, so people can take a look at their individual properties and see if it's going to change or if it's going to be renamed, and can certainly give us feedback if you would like to be drawn a different way. We will certainly incorporate those as we make changes between the first and the final round.
Where did you say it was?
It's going to be at the middle school cafeteria on November 12th, beginning at 6 p.m. So we are still striving for a spring adoption, so we will have a final draft over the winter. But this is definitely a good opportunity so for everyone to see it, feel it, talk about it, and we will incorporate those opinions.
Okay.
And so those were the staff reports that I wanted to pull out and highlight this particular month.
Anything else?
That would be it at this time.
That's it. Okay. All right. Moving along, we've got the consent calendar. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We got, didn't we have a appointment, did I look at one? Not, I think I looked at, one time I was looking at another month, I believe. So, all right, because it pops up to a.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we do not have any appointments at this time.
Okay. Very good. Board member matters, Mr. Spencer?
All right, well, voting is upon us. I remind everybody to vote. Me personally, I ask people to consider, when you vote, consider your views on abortion, boys and girls bathrooms, higher taxes, and higher energy costs. I would ask that you think about those things as you vote. Happy to say on a positive note that gasoline is down. One station I passed, I take that back, it was 3 stations this morning I saw, $2.39. Who would have thought we'd ever see those gas prices again when one point they were at like almost $4. So that's a good thing. During the month, I got some calls about various things. The one I had the most discussion about was employee salaries. I think we're on target, if you will. I think we're in the right ranges as far as what decisions that we've made on employees and salaries and that type of thing. Just be aware that the citizens that are talking to me are saying that their salaries are not where some of the salaries that they're reviewing for county employees. So that seems to be a concern, just FYI. On a different note, if you happen to visit the Virginia Capitol, if you take your personal flag, American flag, into the chamber, you very likely to have it confiscated. They won't allow you to have your American flag in the hall. And that's all I have. Everybody have a good rest of your day, and also get out and vote. Thank you.
Ms. London?
Yes, thank you. I'm very pleased that Bina has stepped in to fill the void of SNAP. We hope it will return. I hope it will return. SNAP will return because it's very needed, not only in Mecklenburg County, but across Virginia and the United States. This may not be, to be for this group of people. I wanted to tell the man who's in charge of the roads, I have Callis Road and Whittles Mill Road and Bridge Road. On Callis Road, if you note, I just looked at it a couple of days ago. It's 35 miles an hour leaving the highway 47. And that's pretty much a straight road. On Bridge Road, where it connects with Whittle Mill Road and a curve, they have a sign 45 miles an hour. Now you're going around a curve 45 miles an hour, and you're going down a straight road 35 miles an hour. Both of these are in my district. I'm concerned about that because it was brought to my attention, and that is my district. But I'll pass it on to him.
Okay.
Okay. And lastly, we had a great reception or banquet at the convention center in Lawrenceville on Thursday night. Many of our people here, our chairman, and our administrators, along with Gravett and myself, who's on the board for South Boston, Brunswick, and Mecklenburg County joined together. It was our annual meeting, but Miss Deborah Gosney also retired from the Planning Commission. I think it was 35 years. And she got a plaque, and she got many accolades. And she will be greatly missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I knew. Ms.
You know my
Spain,
order, huh?
yeah, Miss Lundy took a lot of it. That's what you always get when you go first. You get to pick a little. So, Ms. Spain, thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. And Justin, I know I call you all the time, but thank you for your hard work. I know we're dealing with a lot of stuff, and between me and Mr. Hargrove, we try to keep you straight. The convenience center in Bracy, I've spoken to Wayne about it. It's coming along. It's just a process. He said he hoped to have it open by the first of the year, so hopefully we'll be done with that. And what Ms. Lundy said about Ms. Gosney's retirement from the Planning Commission, it was 38 years that she had served there, and Mr. Andy Wells, who's been a long-time employee of is taking over as executive director, and I think he'll do a very good job. But it was very nice to celebration of her years there, but we do thank her for her service. And also, again, I want to thank this board for their support with Mr. Spain and the money for the food pantries, because I definitely think it has been needed and well used throughout the county and the number of people that we've been able to serve with it. And I'll also remind people the Seafood Festival is in South Hill in a few weeks, so make sure you go get your tickets for that and go vote.
Mr. Grab?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to kind of have like a little group discussion, I guess, a little input from everybody. But when I was sitting here listening to the presentation, so a lot of people talk about, oh man, we can't afford to live in this town. Everything's so high. And that's true to some extent. But I feel like we also need to do our due diligence as people and especially the young people, to stop and think about the financial choices you're making. Some of this stuff is self-inflicted. And I hate to say that, but it is. Stop and make good decisions. Rome wasn't built in a day. And, you can't be 22 years old driving a brand new BMW. It just wasn't, it's not, it's only a few small percentage of people that can do that. So don't live above your means, make great financial decisions. You'll be a lot happier in life. And I feel like, my question is, are we doing, our due diligence as a local government to promote the education of that? Just a basic budgeting. It's sad. Some people buy a car, they don't even know they're gonna owe personal property taxes on it. They don't even know what it's gonna be. I think that's sad. So are we doing anything to help prepare young people to budget, make good decisions, don't live above your means? And I feel like that, if you have financial freedom and happiness, does that tap into mental health? Does it tap into drug use? It could. It's not to say it can't. But I feel like, is that something we can look at and just make sure we're kind of preparing our young people for the real world now?
Dr. Warner, I'd ask you to weigh in on that one. I do believe there's an exercise that is done every year that with the students whereby you have financial professionals come in to the school and they kind of go through a simulation of different financial choices in front of people.
We got two things. We've got the real world participate. Students are given exercises to move forward with those professionals. But we have another thing too, which is in all high schools in Virginia, personal finance and economics is a requirement for graduation. But you're right. Sometimes people feel as though the credit card is the answer to everything as opposed to saving beforehand. I think a lot of folks don't put together a personal finance plan. It's hard to, especially when everyone, from young people to older folks, get barraged by the internet, by these great commercials showing handsome and beautiful.
But when I was teaching school, the fourth and fifth graders, we used to have a class at the end of the year where we would set different items and we would get them a specific amount of money to create decision making and their decisions. So we had to teach them what was most important. Do you buy a brand new computer starting off a business, or do you just use what you have and not buy a car? Or do you buy food and buy a new car? All these types of things. And I don't know what they're continuing to do in that. So this will help them make good financial decisions.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear it, and I hope we're continuing to do that, because I do feel like that's a really big, it's a big deal.
Well, I think, it probably is a lot bigger than Mecklenburg County. It's a cultural issue throughout the country that causes all this. But it certainly can start with the things y'all are talking about to help improve things. But it's definitely a widespread cultural issue in the country.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Just open it up for discussion to see if we can do anything right here at home to try to help combat that. Maybe just get some younger and happier people on the road to getting where they want to be in life. So I appreciate everybody's input. Y'all have any thoughts, please let it be known. Another thing is, I might be behind this. I was trying to get on the Next 44 website. It was down. Was it down? Mm-hmm. I pulled it up before the meeting and it came up, but been trying to pull it up for the past 2 or 3 days and it wouldn't. It said currently off, like unavailable.
I just opened it, so I don't.
Oh, I know.
Can't speak to that, but
I just pulled it up before the meeting and it went on through, and I was like, well, darn. But the last 3 or 4 days I was trying to get on, it said currently unavailable. So I just want to say, just kind of keep a check on it, and we'll see. Make sure we're not having a little bug or something where it's active.
I mean, there's a chance, because I'm not operating on the back end, but there's a chance that when documents are being uploaded, it might not be available during that period of time. And they did put a lot of material on last week in advance of this open house.
Okay.
So that may well be the answer to that question.
Okay, all right, sounds good. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ms. Black?
Again, appreciation to the Purple Heart recipients for your sacrifice and dedication. I applaud DSS, Mrs. Spain, for the work that you all are doing and your commitment to and pride in your work in service to others. It's excellent job on the booklet, very professional, and what's really good about it is that you're using the talents of students and they're using what they are learning. So it's excellent job.
Thank you, Ms. Black. Mr. Wilkins?
Thank you. Again, going last, it took about everything I was gonna say, but I just hit on it again. You know, the Purple Heart resolution says a lot about our area, you know, like Mr. Bronco was saying, you know, the professionalism and grit of our people, that's a lot to be thankful for. I believe it's still that way, maybe not quite as good as it used to be, say World War II. That's kind of the way it's but I do think it's still here in this area. We've got, you know, we should be thankful for that. And about the, you know, the magazine, the booklet here, you know, I've enjoyed it. I've glanced through it. I look forward to tonight really looking at it a little closer. Very well done. I'm impressed with that. And I think it's very important, you know, for constituents and citizens to actually have a real life view of what is going on there. You ride by this beautiful school there and you don't really know what's happening unless you're really involved. And I think it's, you know, a good thing to have. So that's all I really had.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Franklin?
Y'all want to hear it again?
Uh-huh.
But again, thank Chris for coming and giving your report today. Y'all do an awesome job down there. I'm very fortunate to get to see that when I go down there. And thank you, Mr. and Ms. Sloan, for coming today. We appreciate your service and all. And I'm glad we was able to honor the Purple Hearts today. And like I said again, what y'all said about the magazine, I think that's great. But to grab at your point there, I think that's well taken. It's something that needs to be looked at and all. Again, get out and vote. I won't tell nobody how to vote, but if you ask me after the meeting, I'll tell you what you should vote for. Did I overheard Mr. Hargrove say that he got a job? Who interviewed you to get a job?
Alex. Oh, so that's why you showed up at 8:30 the other day.
I got it.
That's all I got, Mr. Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Well, you know who's next.
Yes, sir, and I do appreciate it, but because Mr. Brinkley took up all of my time, I reference back over to you. Thank you, sir.
Well, you know, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Y'all covered everything really well. I agree with everything everybody has said. So there's no need me burning more minutes away.
That's right.
I'll yield and we'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
The motion been made. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. We'll take a 5-minute break to let everybody leave.